What happens when a cop arrests a black man just for helping a homeless teen? He had no idea the man in handcuffs would be the one holding his career in the palm of his hand the very next morning. You ever notice how doing the right thing gets you in the wrong kind of trouble real fast? Yeah, that was me Tuesday morning. Eastwood Avenue, 7:46 a.m. I wasn't supposed to be on that side of town, but fate, or maybe God with a sense of humour, had other plans. That's where I saw him. Kid couldn't have been more than 15, just sitting there on a busted curb, hugging his knees like they were the only thing keeping him from falling apart. I pulled over, rolled the window down. Didn't say much, I don't do speeches, just offered him a granola bar and silence. Sometimes that's all a broken soul needs to start talking. His name was Jamal. Said it like he was ashamed of it. Told me he'd been out all night. Said he wasn't going back home, and not after the things that were said and done. I didn't pry. You can see a story in someone's eyes without reading the whole book. I told him to hop in. Did I have permission? Number, did I need it? Hell no. I had common sense and a moral compass. Two things that apparently make you dangerous when you're a black man behind the wheel. I was halfway to the community centre, a place I volunteer at when the world ain't too loud. When it happened, blue and red lights lit up behind me. Two cops. One looked fresh out of training, the other looked like he'd seen 1,000 lives, and cared about none of them. I pulled over. Engine off, hands on the dash. You know the routine. The younger one strutted up like he was auditioning for a TV show. License and registration. Cool. I hand it over. No questions asked. Then he leans in, looks at Jamal, then at me. His whole vibe shifts. Step out of the vehicle, both of you. Excuse me? You got a minor in the car with no ID. You're not listed as family. You fit the description. There it was. That's a beautiful, empty phrase they teach at the academy. Fits the description. Which one? The one they keep in the back pocket for whenever something doesn't sit right with their idea of normal. Jamal froze. I could see his hands start to shake. I turned to him and said calmly, "You're okay. Just breathe." Before I could say another word, the cop yanked my door open and told me to step out, like I was stashing something under the seat. I did. I kept it calm, because I knew where this could go. And even when they cuffed me, I didn't raise my voice. Not when Jamal cried, not when the older cop said, "We'll sort it out down at the station," and definitely not when I saw the people filming from across the street. Because this wasn't just about me. This was about every man who ever tried to help and got punished for it. Every moment when being black and good meant you were still suspicious. As they stuffed me in the back of that cruiser, I looked at Jamal through the window. He looked back, terrified, confused, and I made a promise in my head. You won't be the next kid they break. What happened next changed everything. You don't want to miss how it all went down. You know what's worse than being arrested for doing the right thing. Sitting in a freezing metal chair while two officers decide whether you're a threat or just another mistake. We pulled up to the precinct. White brick walls, tinted windows, and the smell of day-old authority. They walked me in like I'd robbed a bank instead of trying to help a kid stay alive. No words, no eye contact, just that same cold grip on my arm, like I might bolt at any moment. I didn't say a word, not yet. I was watching, calculating, listening to how the floor squeaked under their boots like it was tired of the same story. Inside, they sat me in an interview room that looked like it hadn't changed since 1985. fluorescent lights that buzzed like they were judging you. One table, two chairs, and a wall mirror that definitely had someone watching behind it. Then came Officer I got something to prove. Young, clean-cut, overconfident. Thought his badge gave him a doctorate in human behavior. Tell me again why you picked up the kid? I leaned back, looked him straight in the eye. Because he was freezing, hungry, alone, because I'm human. He scribbled something like I'd just confessed to a felony. You don't work for child services. I don't need a title to care. That hit a nerve. He slammed the pen down like I'd insulted his football team. That's not how it works. You can't just... You're right, I cut in. It doesn't work. That's the problem. He didn't like that. Not one bit. Meanwhile, Jamal was in a different room. Alone. No lawyer. No social worker. Just fear and a chair too big for him. I asked 3 times if someone had checked on him. They ignored me, so I said it louder. That's when the older officer, the one with the retirement face, stepped in. You might want to calm down, Mr. Fletcher. You might want to explain why a child is sitting alone in custody like he's a suspect. He paused. That kind of pause, where you realize someone might just have a point, and you don't know how to argue with it. The silence in that room was heavier than the cuffs they'd slapped on me an hour ago. I leaned forward. I work for the city. I've been on your task force committees. I've trained half the outreach teams you never read the reports from. But today, I'm just a guy who tried to keep a boy from sleeping in an alley. And you cuffed me like I was the one breaking him. That's when the door opened. A young officer came in, holding a phone. Sir, the video is everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, local news is calling. Boom. The room shifted. The weight of social media suddenly outweighed the silence of the system. The old officer rubbed his eyes. Uncuff him. I stood, calm, like I knew this moment was coming. The cuffs came off. My wrists were red, not from pain, from patience. But then Officer Pruvit spoke again. You're not off the hook. You overstepped. I turned slowly, looked him dead in the eye. You don't even know what line you're standing on, son. I walked out, quiet, controlled, but my pulse was ticking like a clock heading for 0. Because this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. This is it. The final chapter will flip everything upside down. Stick around. You won't believe who ends up answering to who. The next morning I didn't show up angry. I showed up prepared. Pressed navy suit, polished shoes, folder in one hand, phone in the other. The kind of walk you carry when you're not just coming for justice. You're coming with receipts. City Hall was buzzing, emails were flying, phones ringing off the hook. Turns out a video of a black man getting cuffed for helping a homeless kid. That gets people talking. And when those people find out that same man sits on the city's civil oversight board, they don't just talk, they move. I stepped into the chamber. Wooden panels, clean microphones, the smell of politics and air conditioning. At the end of the row, Captain Mason, looking like he hadn't slept. And to the side, Officer I got something to prove, trying not to make eye contact with the man he'd arrested 24 hours ago. I didn't need eye contact. I had facts. The mayor was there too, because when city reputation is on the line, they don't miss meetings. And the meeting today? It wasn't about city budget or parking meters. It was about public accountability. I stood up, calm, solid, opened my folder. No drama, just data. Yesterday, I was handcuffed for helping a child. Today, I'm here to make sure that doesn't happen again. To anyone. Slide 1. Statistics on black men wrongfully detained in this district. Slide 2, budget lines that go untouched while community programs get cut. Slide 3, a still image of Jamal in the back of a squad car. A child. Alone. Afraid. The chamber was silent. You could hear the moral weight drop like a brick. I turned toward the officer's bench. This isn't personal. It's systemic. But let's be clear. The badge doesn't make you immune from consequences. It makes you accountable for them. The mayor cleared her throat. Mr. Fletcher, what actions would you recommend? I didn't blink. Immediate internal review. Officer suspension pending investigation. Mandatory community retraining. And a public apology. Not to me, to Jamal. You could feel the walls shift. Like the room suddenly realized the grown-ups were talking now. Captain Mason nodded, quietly, slowly. We'll proceed with the review, and I believe we owe you and that boy something more than policy. I walked out without a smile, because this wasn't a win. This was a correction. A small one, but necessary. Outside, Jamal was waiting on the steps with one of the counselors I'd called in earlier. He looked up. They really listening to you? I knelt down, buttoned my jacket. Number. They're listening to the truth. I just happened to say it loud enough they couldn't ignore it. He grinned. Not wide, but enough to mean something real. I stood up, looked back at the doors of City Hall, and I thought, funny thing, yesterday they put me in a cruiser. Today they had to sit and take notes. When they say, you don't know who you're messing with, sometimes that's the quiet guy who just saved your job and then wrote your review.